Welcome back to Finding Yahuah, all about enlightenment and spiritual awakening. In the last episode of the Book of Enoch, we explored the first half of the astronomical book, all about the heavenly luminaries and their cycles, which relate to the keeping of time through established patterns and cycles of the sun and the moon, which we discussed in great detail. Today we are going to continue our exploration of these cycles. But before we begin, let us pray. Yahuah, my Eluah, my Adonai, Heavenly Father and Creator, the Most High, we are gathered here together yet again, calling upon your name. We pray for your guidance and wisdom of discernment as we continue to explore these passages contained within the Book of Enoch. Please guide us as we continue our journey of enlightenment and spiritual awakening. Shalom. The names of the sun are these: Arieris, Hebrew for light; the other Tomas, Hebrew meaning twin. Naming the sun personifies it as divine machinery managed by righteous angels. This may insinuate that the sun has two states of being, and yet some scholars believe that the term twin for Tomas implies that the sun and the moon function as twin luminaries. But you'll see the problem with this in the verse that follows. The moon has four names. The first is Asonia, the second Ebla, the third Benes, and the fourth Ere. So the sun has two names or states of being, and the moon has four names or states of being, which reflect the ancient symbolic and cosmological tradition of the moon having different identities depending on which phase of its cycle it's currently in. In ancient cosmologies, celestial bodies were often viewed as living, angelic, or divine entities, with the moon constantly changing shape. It was perceived as having different faces or personas throughout its cycle, and these four names correspond to the moon's four primary lunar phases. Asonia relates to the new moon, Ebla to the waxing of the moon, or increasing in light. Benes relates to the full moon, and Ere reflects the waning of the moon. The text establishes that the moon reflects light borrowed from the sun, receiving light in measured increments over 14 days until it becomes full, after which the light is depleted over the next 14 days. These are the two great luminaries whose orbs are as the orbs of heaven, and the dimensions of both are equal. It is believed in ancient cosmology that each of these celestial bodies share their light with one another. But we have come to believe that the sun shares its light with the moon. In the orb of the sun are 7 parts of light which are added to it more than to the moon. By measure, it is put in until the 7th portion of the sun is departed. They set, entering into the western gate, circuit by the north, and through the eastern gate go forth over the face of the heaven. When the moon rises, it appears in the heavens. In 14, the whole of its light is completed. I believe this is referring to the 14 days of the waxing cycle in which the moon increases in light, and this would be when it becomes a full moon. 3 quintuples, or 3 fives, worth of light is put into it until 15 days its light is completed according to the signs of the year. The moon has half of a 7th portion. During its diminution, the process of becoming less, on the first day, its light decreases a 14th part. On the second day, it decreases a 13th part, and so on and so forth until the 13th day it decreases a 2nd part, and on the 14th day it decreases a half of its 7th part. On the 15th day, the whole remainder of its light is consumed. And this would refer to the new moon when it is completely blank and barely visible in the sky. On stated months, the moon has 29 days. It also has a period of 28 days. Basically, this is saying that the moon waxes for one period of 14 days, growing in the amount of light it reflects, becoming a full moon on the 15th day. for which it then begins 14 days of waning or fading in the amount of light it reflects, and this describes a 29-day period. On a 28-day period, the moon becomes full on the 14th day, implied by the word completed. Uriel likewise showed me another regulation when light is poured into the moon, how it is poured into it from the sun. All the time that the moon is in progress with its light, it is poured in the presence of the sun until the light is in 14 days completed in heaven. And when it is wholly extinguished, its light is consumed in heaven. And on the first day it is called the new moon, for on that day light is received into it. This confirms that the sun gives its light to the moon. It becomes precisely completed on the day that the sun descends into the west, while the moon ascends at night from the east. The moon then shines all night until the sun rises before it, when the moon disappears in turn before the sun. Where light comes to the moon, there again it decreases until all its light is extinguished and the days of the moon pass away. Then its orb remains solitary without light. This is describing the moon decreasing or waning in the amount of light that it reflects until it becomes invisible in the nighttime sky. For 3 months, it affects in 30 days its period. And for 3 months, it affects in 29 days each, in which it affects its decrease in its first period and in the first gate in 177 days. This explains that the moon operates on a shifting cycle of waxing and waning that alternate monthly. 3 months for 30 days is a total of 90 days, and 3 months for 29 days, which amounts to 87 days. When you add 90 and 87, you get the number 177, which is the total number of days within a 6-month cycle. By multiplying this 177-day half year by 2, because 1 year has 2 halves, the lunar year is calculated at 354 days, which is the standard length of a lunar calendar, which we discussed earlier, that the lunar cycle falls 10 days short of the 364 Enochian solar calendar. And at the time of its going forth for 3 months, it appears 30 days each, and for 3 months it appears 29 days each. In the night it appears for each 20 as a man, and in the day as heaven, for it is nothing else except its light. Appearing as a man is a reference to the crescent shape of the moon when the moon appears as a profile of a human face. In the day as heaven implies that in daylight hours we cannot visibly observe the moon reflecting the sun's light because the sun's brightness outshines the reflection of the moon, and the moon appears as though it blends into the heavens. For it is nothing else except its light, summarizes the core cosmic principle that the moon has no independent intrinsic substance. Its visible shape and nature are completely defined by the sun's reflected light. And now, my son Methuselah, I have shown you everything, and every ordinance of the stars of heaven is finished. Uriel showed me every ordinance respecting these, which is at all times and in all seasons, under every influence, in all years, at the arrival, and under the rule of each, during every month and week. Also, the decrease of the moon, which is given effect in the 6th gate, for in that 6th gate is its light consumed. From this is the beginning of the month, and its decrease is given effect in the 6th gate in its period until 177 days are completed, according to the mode of calculation by weeks, 25 weeks and 2 days. 25 weeks, each containing 7 days, would amount to 175 days, plus 2 more days makes 177 days, which is 6 months of the year. It is less than that of the sun, according to the ordinance of the stars, by 5 days in one time precisely. When the visible situation is completed, such is the appearance and likeness of every luminary which Uriel, the great angel who conducts them, showed me. The 6th gate is the end of the moon's lunar cycle for a 6-month period, when its light is fully spent. In the modern lunar cycle, this equates to the new moon, or the dark of the moon, where it is temporarily invisible in the sky, blending into the heavens. At this point, the lunar cycle resets, and it then begins the process of regaining its light as it starts traveling back toward the first gate. This equates to the moon falling behind the sun by exactly 5 days over a half year, which constitutes the laws of time as Uriel has revealed to Enoch. So there are 2 periods of 6 months. 5 days in each period creates the 10-day lagging lunar cycle, which is consistent with the lunar cycle having 10 days less than the solar cycle. In those days, Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown you all things, O Enoch, and all things have I revealed to you. You see the sun, the moon, and those which conduct the stars of heaven, which cause all their operations, seasons, and arrivals to return. And the days of sinners, the years shall be shortened. Their seed shall be backward in their prolific or fertile soil, and everything done on earth shall be subverted and disappear in its season. The rain shall be restrained, and heaven shall stand still. In those days the fruits of the earth shall be late, and not flourish in their season. And their season, the fruits of the trees shall be withheld. The moon shall change its laws, and not be seen at its proper period. But in those days shall heaven be seen, and barrenness shall take place in its borders of the great chariots in the west. It shall shine more than the orders of light, while many chiefs of the stars of authority shall err, perverting their ways and works. These many chiefs of the stars of authority that shall err and pervert their ways and works sounds like a reference to the fallen angels. And angels are often equated with stars. So sometimes when we see the mention of stars, it's symbolically referring to angels. Those shall not appear in their season who commanded them, and all the classes of the stars shall be shut up against sinners. The thoughts of those who dwell on the earth shall transgress within them, and they shall be perverted in all their ways. They shall transgress and think themselves Elohim, which means to think themselves to be gods, while evil shall be multiplied among them, and punishment shall come upon them, so that all of them shall be destroyed. This is a prophecy about cosmic and agricultural chaos brought on by human wickedness. It describes a sort of domino effect of divine judgment. Because humanity turns away from righteousness, the natural world becomes disordered, causing seasons to fail, crops to wither, and the heavens themselves to break their appointed laws in a form of a curse through divine judgment against sin. Uriel said, O Enoch, look on the Sephora of the tablets of heaven, which have gradually brought down to earth from heaven, and reading that which is written in it, understand every part of it. Then I looked on all which was written, and understood all, reading the Sephora and everything written in it, all the works of man, and of all the children of flesh upon earth during the generations of the world. Uriel is telling Enoch all that he has shown him is recorded in these books that Enoch wrote as he was guided through his cosmic exploration by the archangels. Immediately after, I blessed Yahuah, the King of Glory, who has thus forever formed the whole workmanship of the world. And I glorified Yahuah on account of his long suffering and blessing towards the children of the world. At that time I said, Blessed is the man who shall die righteous and good, against whom no catalogue of crime has been written, and with whom iniquity is not found. Then those 3 holy ones caused me to approach and placed me on the earth before the door of my house. After his journey through the heavenly realm, guided by the archangels, Enoch is now returned home. This officially confirms that Enoch was raptured, explored the cosmic realm with the archangels, and was then returned home to share with his family all that he had learned and recorded for them to pass down throughout the generations. Eventually, Enoch will be raptured for a second time, where he was revealed to be the Son of Man, who is the Messiah of the righteous, and who will serve as the judge of Yahuah to exact judgment upon all the sinners. And they said unto me, Explain everything to Methuselah your son, And inform all your children that no flesh shall be justified before Yahuah, for he is their creator. For 1 year we shall leave you with your children, until you shall again recover your strength, that you may instruct your family. Write these things and explain them to all your children. But in another year they shall take you from the midst of them, and your heart shall be strengthened. For the elect shall point out righteousness to the elect. The righteous with the righteous shall rejoice, congratulating each other, but the sinners with sinners shall die. And the perverted with the perverted shall be drowned. The sinners shall die, and the perverted shall be drowned. And I believe this is a reference to the upcoming flood that will cleanse the earth from all that the fallen angels had taught the men of earth. Those likewise who act righteously shall die on account of the works of man, and shall be gathered together on account of the works of the wicked. So unfortunately, even some of those who behave with righteousness are going to die in this flood, because we know that only Noah and his family will be spared. In the days they finished conversing with me, and I returned to my fellow men, blessing Yahuah of worlds. So it appears that Enoch absolutely was returned to earth for 1 year before he would then again be taken back to heaven in a second rapture, where he will be told that he is the Son of Man, this Messiah figure, who is going to cast judgment on sinners. Now, my son Methuselah, all these things I speak to you and write for you. To you I have revealed all, and given you Sephirim, or books of everything. Preserve, my son Methuselah, the Sephirim written by your father, that you may reveal them to future generations. Wisdom have I given you, to your children, that they may reveal to their children for generations forever this wisdom in their thoughts, and that those who comprehend may not slumber, but hear with their ears, that they may learn this wisdom and be deemed worthy of eating wholesome food. Enoch promises his son that knowing and passing on this knowledge of the cosmos and the future prophecies from Yahuah will benefit them on earth, that learning this spiritual knowledge will satisfy and nourish their souls better than physical food satisfies the stomach. Worthy of eating is a metaphor for ingesting, meditating upon, and fully understanding this divine knowledge. To be deemed worthy is to have a righteous heart prepared to receive Yahuah's truth. Wholesome food acts as a stark contrast to the spiritual famine and deception caused by the corrupting influence of the fallen angels. Just as good food keeps a physical body strong, this wisdom will sustain the eternal spirit. Blessed are all the righteous, all who walk in righteousness, in whom is no crime, as in sinners when all their days are numbered. With respect to the progress of the sun in heaven, it enters and goes out of gate for 30 days, with the leaders of the 1,000 classes of the stars, with 4 which are added and appertain to the 4 quarters of the year which conduct them, and accompany at 4 periods. This refers to those intercalary days added to the calendar to balance the difference between the days of the lunar cycle and the solar cycle, of which the lunar calendar falls 10 days shorter than the solar cycle. Respecting these, men greatly err and do not calculate them in the calculation of every age, for they greatly err respecting them. Nor do men know accurately that they are in the calculation of the year, but indeed these are marked down forever, 1 in the 1st gate, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th gate, and 1 in the 6th, so that the year is completed in 364 days. Humanity erred by failing to correctly calculate the holy days using these heavenly signs. And this is why Enoch was shown these visions, to document this, to give it to humanity, so that when Enoch is gone and raptured for a second time, the humans will be left with a way to know and understand the cosmic realm of the seasons and the weather and of day and night, so that they may have an opportunity to celebrate the holy days on the exact day that Yahuah had planned. These intercalary days help to balance the lunar cycle with the solar cycle, and it says that people often mistake how they interpret these signs. Truly has been stated and accurately has been calculated that which is marked down. For the luminaries, the months, the fixed periods, the years, and the days, Uriel has explained to me and communicated to me, whom Yahuah of all creation, on my account, commanded, according to the might of heaven and the power which it possesses, both by night and by day, to explain light to man, of the sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of heaven which are turned with the respective orbs. Because humans lacked understanding of the keeping of time, Yahuah has sent Enoch to reveal to them the truth, to explain light to man. This is the ordinance, or the law, of the stars, which set in their places, in their seasons, their periods, their days, and their months. These are the names of those who conduct them, who watch and enter in their seasons, according to their ordinance, in their periods, their months, their influence, and their stations. 4 conductors of them first enter, who separate the 4 quarters of the year. After these, 12 conductors of their classes, who separate the months, with leaders of 1,000 who distinguish between the days as well as between the 4 additional ones, which conductors divide the 4 quarters of the year. So this describes a governing celestial hierarchy of angelic beings who conduct the heavenly luminaries and therefore keep the flow of time. There are 4 main conductors, 1 over each season. Then there are 12 subordinate conductors who separate the months within the year, and then with leaders of 1,000 who distinguish between all of the days, meaning there is a subordinate angel for each day of the year. These leaders of 1,000 are in the midst of the conductors, and the conductors are added each behind his station, and their conductors make the separation. These are the names of the conductors who separate the 4 quarters of the year, who are appointed: Melkel, Helamelech, Melial, and Narel. These high-ranking angelic or celestial conductors are appointed to govern the 4 distinct seasons of the year, each ruling for 91 days, and together conduct the perfect 12-month solar calendar. It also mentions the 4 intercalary days, which are the seasonal transition days known as equinoxes and solstices. Equinoxes mark when the day and the night are roughly equal in length. The solstices mark the year's longest day in summer and the shortest days in winter. But the equinoxes are when there are 9 parts light and 9 parts dark, meaning that the day and the night are roughly equal with each other. Each of the 4 angels that governs a 91-day period known as a season are each associated with specific weather patterns and agricultural events on Earth. Melkel is the first to rise at the beginning of the year, associated with spring when flowers bloom. Helamelech rules over the summer, Melial rules over autumn, and Narel rules over the winter months. Melkel, Helamelech, Melial, and Narel are the 4 primary leaders, and they are known as station conductors. And the names of those who conduct them are Adnarel, Jayasisel. These 3 additional angelic or celestial beings of the hierarchy serve as subordinate leaders, assisting in the regulation of the solar calendar. They effectively ensure that the celestial portals open and close exactly on time, and these secondary leaders are known as the class conductors. These are the 3 who follow after the conductors of the classes, which themselves follow after the conductors of the stations, who divide the 4 quarters of the year. In the first part of the year, in spring, rises and rules Melchias, known as the southern sun, who is named Tamani and Zahai. Melchias is the primary angelic leader or conductor responsible for the celestial luminaries during the spring season. All the days of his influence which he rules are 91 days, and these are the signs of the days which are seen upon the earth. In the days of his influence, perspiration, heat, and trouble. All the trees become fruitful. The leaf of every tree comes forth. The grain is reaped. The rose and every species of flower blossoms in the field, and the trees of winter are dried up. These are the names of the conductors who are under them: Barkel, Zelzabel, and another additional conductor of 1,000 is named Heloi Aleph. The days of those influence have been completed. The other conductor next after them is Helamelech, whose name they call the splendid Zahai. Barkel and Zelzabel are angelic leaders who govern over the changing of the seasons. They control specific groups of stars as the sun moves through the different portals of the sky. Heloyalef is another conductor whose influence represents the transition of a specific season or time period ending, shifting the earthly responsibilities to the next group. Helamelech, which is also translated as Heloyasef, depending on the manuscript, he takes over the rule, and he is called the splendid Zahai, which translates to the shining sun. All the days of his light are 91. These are the signs of the days upon earth, heat and drought, while the trees bring forth their fruits, warmed and concocted, and give their fruits to dry. The flocks follow, mate, and bear young. All the fruits of the earth are collected with everything in the fields, and the vines are trodden. This takes place during the time of his influence. These are their names and orders, and the conductors who are under them, of those who are chiefs of 1,000. Gerael, Kael, and Hael. The name of the additional leader of 1,000, Asphael, is an angelic governing entity appointed by the archangel Uriel to oversee the seasonal divisions of time. He is identified as the additional leader, or the head over 1,000, who concludes the third season or transition into the final season. The days of his influence has been completed. This sounds as though this would complete the high rulers of each divinely ordained season. In the next episode, we will see more conversation between the returned Enoch and his eldest son, Methuselah. Until then, Yahuah, my Eluah, my Adonai, Heavenly Father and Creator, the Most High, we are thankful for the blessing of walking with you today as we explored your word. Thank you for blessing us with the ability to discover your truth behind these passages as we attempt to learn and to understand them. Please bless the needy, the troubled, and the hurt, because they are in need of your blessings the most. And I'm thankful to be an instrument of the light of Yahuah. Shalom. And to everyone who has made it this far, thank you for your support by merely watching this video.